First off, I want to say thank you to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. If it wasn't for him, this would not be possible. Low Nose Boxing. Hit the like button, share the video, leave a comment, subscribe. Teofimo Lopez versus Gervonta Tank Davis. And I already know what a lot of y'all are going to say right now. Why are you talking about Teofimo Lopez versus Gervonta Davis when Teofimo Lopez did not have a scintillating performance over Steve Claggett? As I mentioned in my previous video, Teofimo Lopez has shown consistency in terms of performing to the level of his competition. So with that being said, Gervonta Davis is the highest level between 135 to 140 pounds. So based on history and based on what Teofimo Lopez has shown, it's pretty much safe to say that a fight with Gervonta Davis is the type of fight where Teofimo Lopez will perform to the best of his ability. And make no mistake about it, even though I critique them, it doesn't mean that I look at him as a fighter that's not special. I still think that Teofimo Lopez is a once in a generation type of talent when he's on his A game. He's still my favorite fighter to watch right now and support in boxing. But like I said before, I'm gonna critique my favorite fighters, which brings me to a potential super fight between Teofimo Lopez and Gervonta Davis, right? But before we can make a super fight, we gotta have common opponents. We gotta have barometer matchups, right? And Gervonta Davis, the way that he's been defeating his adversaries, the guys that he's been in the ring with, it's pretty much hard to top that. This is why I was never crazy about Teo versus Ryan Garcia at the time when it was in discussion, because at the time Ryan Garcia was coming off of a knockout loss to Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis put up such a performance with Ryan Garcia where that's the type of performance that it will be extremely difficult to top, right? And I said that Ryan Garcia would have to bounce back. Just like Devin Haney right now, Teofimo Lopez would have to top Ryan Garcia's performance over Devin Haney in order for him to get credit for that. The only opponent that Gervonta Davis has faced that I would like for Teofimo Lopez to face as of right now is Isaac Pitbull Cruz. And with that being said, the road to Gervonta Davis versus Teofimo Lopez goes through Pitbull Cruz and Vasyl Lomachenko. Vasyl Lomachenko was Teofimo Lopez's best opponent. His best performance in terms of the way he handled himself against a pound-for-pound fighter, right? I had that fight 9 rounds to 3 for Teofimo Lopez. I only gave Lomachenko 3 of the last 5 rounds, but he did dominate those 3 rounds, but Teofimo Lopez won that fight convincingly. And then Gervonta Davis took on Isaac Pitbull Cruz. Pitbull Cruz didn't just go 12 rounds with Gervonta Davis and survive. It was a competitive, close fight. I watched that fight once, and I'm going to take a look at it one more time to give a better assessment on how the fight was scored. But based on how I saw it the first time, I had Gervonta Davis winning that fight 7 rounds to 5, or possibly 8 rounds to 4, but yet a highly competitive fight. A win for Gervonta Davis that went on to age very well. Isaac Cruz has been on the roll since the Gervonta Davis loss, right? Since losing to Gervonta Davis. Between Isaac Cruz and his performances, and between Teofimo Lopez and his last 2 performances, it's pretty much safe to say that that's nearly a 50-50 fight for Teofimo Lopez. Maybe more along the lines of a 60-40 fight for Teofimo Lopez. But yet, a big enough fight with the amount of danger that I feel will motivate Teofimo Lopez to perform at his absolute best. He took on Steve Claggett, who's a come-forward, high-volume, pressure fighter. Teofimo Lopez did show some inside work, but against Pitbull Cruz, he's going to have to pull off more tricks than just being able to fight on the inside. he's going to have to be able to use that jab in various ways. He's going to have to be able to pivot off the ropes and use the check hook to get off the ropes and keep the fight in the middle of the ring as much as he can in order to become victorious over Isaac Pitbull Cruz. And if Teofimo Lopez defeats Pitbull Cruz more impressively than Gervonta Davis, that makes the fight even bigger. Even if he doesn't knock Pitbull Cruz out, let's say he outboxes him 9 rounds to 3, or just wins more convincingly altogether, right? Then we got Vasyl Lomachenko. Vasyl Lomachenko was a fighter who Teofimo Lopez defeated back in 2020. And I already know what y'all gonna say right now. Oh, Gervonta Davis is fighting him 4 years later. But you know what? Vasyl Lomachenko, despite the fact that he's older, he still has a lot in the gas tank. I don't believe Lomachenko is the exact same fighter that he was when he took on Teofimo Lopez. But the fact that Lomachenko has continued to dominate his competition, with the exception of Devin Haney, which was a close fight, arguable fight where many people believe Lomachenko won, and of course the Jermaine Ortiz fight, which was a close fight. Besides those 2 fights, Lomachenko looks like he did not lose a step. He went on to stop Nakatani. He outclassed Richard Comey. Like I said, he had that close fight with Jermaine Ortiz. He had that close fight with Devin Haney, which he performed magnificently. And then he turned around and destroyed George Kambosos. So that win has also aged very well for Teofimo Lopez. So Gervonta Davis has the opportunity to attempt to defeat Lomachenko more convincingly than Teofimo Lopez. Styles make fights, and Lomachenko is a fighter that doesn't like aggression, doesn't like power, especially to the body, and is going to be coming from a southpaw stance. Gervonta Davis fights even better against fellow southpaws. So I got Gervonta Davis in a very competitive fight, stopping Lomachenko to the body in the late rounds. If Teofimo Lopez takes on Pitbull Cruz and beats him convincingly, and Gervonta Davis takes care of business with Vasyl Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez and Gervonta Davis will be the biggest fight in boxing. The biggest fight in boxing. And that's a very winnable fight for both of them. Because even though I've stated on other platforms that I feel that Gervonta Davis might be able to beat Teofimo Lopez, he's shown a little bit better fundamentals. Make no mistake about it, you cannot sleep on Teofimo Lopez, because you never know what type of tricks he's going to come out with. Teofimo Lopez is the most creative fighter with his offense. The way he mixes up his attacks, very creative inside that ring. If the stigma is true, which it does appear to be true, that Teo fights to the level of his competition, it's pretty much safe to say that against Gervonta Davis, we're going to see the best version of Teofimo Lopez, and the best version of Teofimo Lopez versus Gervonta Davis is a 50-50 fight. But before that, we're going to have to see the best version of Teofimo Lopez against Pitbull Cruz. And Gervonta Davis, he's proven that he's one of the most consistent fighters in boxing. I'm sure he's going to be consistent against Vasyl Lomachenko, right? And now you already know what I'm about to do right now. I'm going to go into my gimmick. I'm going to go into my historian bag. Throughout the history of boxing, some of the biggest fights in boxing, both adversaries had to have common opponents leading up to those fights. With Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, both guys took on common opponents like Miguel Cotto, Oscar De La Hoya, Sugar Shane Mosley, Juan Manuel Marquez, Ricky Hatton, right? When Felix Tito Trinidad took on Oscar De La Hoya, both guys faced common opponents in Over Carr, Hector Macho Camacho, Pernell Whitaker. That's just how boxing is. That's how you build these fights. And for Teofimo Lopez, being that he's been fighting to the level of his competition, I don't want to see him in the ring anymore with guys that are not on his level. Maybe he should go the Floyd Mayweather route, and fight maybe 2 times a year against high-level guys that he's going to be competitive with, instead of taking on lower-level guys. Because the risk of fighting to the level of your competition is you might be able to lose to to a fighter lower than your level. You don't want to see that. Sometimes over-marinating a fight can ruin the potential big fight. But nevertheless, Teofimo Lopez versus Gervonta Davis is the biggest fight in boxing if they take care of business in their weight classes. Vasyl Lomachenko and Isaac Pitbull Cruz are the two fighters in the way of that fight happening. With that being said, hit the like button, share the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel, Low Nose Boxing, because Low Nose Boxing. God bless you. I'm out.